Okay guys, so microphone in the wrong spot. So let's talk about support and resistance. This is a very, very simple video, very simple topic. There's really not much to it. It's not like a fucking life-changing video. Every other support and resistance video online is going to say the same shit. I'm not telling you anything different. If you already understand support and resistance, you're not going to learn anything really new from this video. Okay? Just understand that there's no edge in support and resistance. Nothing that you'll find online is any different to what I'm saying in this video, but I figured may as well film it anyway, so you got one with my face on it. And maybe I'll say a couple things that's unique, but overall, support and resistance it's super simple, okay? I use support and resistance on a chart for 4 different things. I want to identify where price looks like it's breaking out from a certain level. I want to identify regions that make sense to be a buyer. I want to identify regions where it makes sense to be a seller. And I want to understand the strength of the underlying trend. And you can do all of this with using support and resistance lines, okay? So let me show you how this looks. So when you are new to, obviously, technical analysis, you will draw lines in the most random places, and you will attribute them to meaning something. You'll do this. You'll draw all these lines. You draw this line, you'll draw this line, and every line that you draw, because you have no pattern recognition downloaded, you assume every line has an equal value on predicting the future price. In reality, this is not true. Not all lines are made equal. Not every line has the same value. And so after 6 years of crypto, I have found that I only now draw lines which are actually important. So a lot of people will do like when you start off, you'll just do super fucking stupid lines like all the time. Like that's a fine line, but like you'll do things like, I'm just trying to find an example. Like people will draw something like this, right? And now, I don't know, it's just like a line like this, it just doesn't matter. And you won't understand why it doesn't matter until you've been in the game for 6 years. But like when you don't know the pattern recognition, you will draw lines that don't really mean much. So don't get too caught up on lines and all this bullshit. It's really not super important. I'll show you the type of lines that matter. So the type of lines that matter are basically breakouts from a downtrend. So things like this. These are the ones that matter, right? Breakouts from downtrend. And also horizontal support and resistance. So lines like this, okay? These lines matter, right? These are like the only 2 that matter to me. Okay, I don't do uptrend like this. I just don't find it works. It's about it. Okay. I also only do chart analysis on a 4-hour and a daily time frame. Okay, so on Fakey Base God, I honestly wouldn't even do these lines because I don't buy breakouts on this coin. Okay, the only thing I do on this coin, really, to be honest, is just measure how far down it's gone. And if it goes down 60%, I buy, right? You did it here, you're already up 20%, okay? So let's talk about the different ways that 4 different types of uses. So the first one is identifying breakouts. So like I said, I like to look for breakouts, right? The strategy that I like to do is breakout, retest, buy, and then it goes up, okay? You can see that it works pretty much every time on this coin. Sometimes it doesn't give you a retest. Sometimes it does. Let's go to the hourly. Maybe it looks a little bit better. So yeah, you can see here a bunch of different breakouts, right? Not all of them give you a retest, but I like to draw this, I don't know. I just like to do this pattern. I find it works a lot. Breakout, retest. That's the first thing. The second thing is just identifying buy zones. So obviously when you buy, it's not just one reason when you buy. It's not like it hits support, I buy. It's a confluence, a series of reasons that are making you want to buy, okay? So for example, we might have with Thank You Base God here, right? If we were to look at this before it went up, we would look here and we would go, okay, it's down 60%. Every time it went down 60%, it was a bottom. And there's a key support level here, right? There's a support level because of how this is drawn, or because you can see that price, the candle closed at this level right here, right? The candle kept closing here. I draw my support and resistance usually where the candle tops, not where the wick is. I do it usually where the candle is, right? Like around here. I would put it like around here. It doesn't really matter. There's no exact way to do it. But like I like to look at where the candle closes, especially on a higher time frame. I think the candle close is quite important. So like I would draw it here, right? So I'd go like this. I'd go, okay, this is a key support level. And then I would move it over here. And you can see that price didn't really go below this level, and this would be the level you would buy at, right? And if it went up, then you made money. Now, in terms of support and resistance, people get super fancy. Like they'll look at swing failure patterns, and they'll do all this super fancy support and resistance stuff. As an investor, you do not need this. As an investor, it's really, really simple. Just keep it simple. Just basic support, resistance. Honestly, resistance isn't even really needed. I sell when the thesis plays out. I don't really give a fuck about what the resistance is, okay? Especially when you're buying these sort of coins, because, like, imagine you sold it, like, here. Like, imagine you sold at this level because it hit the resistance again. Oh, it hit resistance, I gotta sell. And then it went up, like, 4x higher. Like, you can't use resistance levels on these sort of coins. They just go up. It's all about the thesis. The thesis is what gives you the sell region. So I don't even really use support and resistance for selling. The only time I might use a resistance for selling is maybe on like Bitcoin or something like that, a bigger coin where I might not be even betting on it going to new all-time highs. But generally everything will go to new all-time highs, and there won't be a resistance level you can really draw to get you a sell. So I don't really even use it for selling. Like I said identify sell zones, but honestly, I don't really do that because new all-time highs, it's not about, when it goes to new all-time highs, there's no like level it can hit. You have to use other tools like a fib extension, okay? There's another tool, I don't know where it is, trend-based fib extension, right? This is like the measuring of a trend above levels that it hasn't been before. But that's not support and resistance, okay? And number 4 is identifying strength of trend. So, okay, let me explain this concept to you. When you have a support level, right, let's look at this as a support level. Okay, I want to try to get rid of this shit on the side. When you have a support level, right, the first test is the strongest. Because a support level is basically a level where there is a lot of buyers. There's a lot of people with bids. And when the price goes down, it goes down into this thick level of bids, and it can't get through it because sellers are not strong enough, right? The buyers are stronger than the sellers at this level, right? And so the first test is the strongest because that is where you have the largest amount of people wanting to buy. And when the price hits here, a lot of those people's orders get filled. And so let's pretend this is like a tank of water, right? Right. Let's say the water's here. On the first test, the tank is almost full. But once it tests that level and let's say it goes up, the tank goes down. And then let's say it comes down and tests again. And then it goes up again. The tank is now here. And then eventually the tank's going to run out of fuel if it keeps going like this, right? And the tank's going to get empty. And the tank's actually going to be, pretty much empty. And then a big sell's going to come in and price is going to go below that level because it runs out of buyers who were on that level, okay? And you can see this concept on the Bitcoin chart back in 2018 at this level here, right? You can see it here. You can see that price was retesting this level. The tank was getting emptier and emptier. And then once it broke through, it just had no buyers because they all had bought in this region. And there was also a lot of long liquidations on this dip, okay? So that's how I would look at support and resistance. Each additional tap is a sign of weakness. The strongest coins tap support once or twice, and then that's it. They're going up. And let me show you, Thank You Base God is a classic example of this, right? It doesn't spend very long at the support before it goes up, right? Here's the support level, right? It tapped the support like once, twice, and that was it. Done. Never touched it again, right? It came down here once, and then it didn't touch it again, right? Let's see if there's any more examples, right? The support level here is like this region, touched it once, sort of touching it again. That's it, done. It was only there for 2-3 days, and then price was going to new highs. So this is just a classic example of a strong coin. It doesn't give you long to enter, and that's actually one of the lessons of support and resistance, which I'm going to put here, if it lets me. Okay, it's giving me problems. Lesson of support and resistance. The harder it is to buy the dip, the stronger the trend, and more likely the coin goes up. It's the same thing in dating, right? Imagine you meet a girl at the club and she wants to fuck instantly. She's probably not a good girl, right? Probably not a good investment. If she's not reciprocating and she takes, you have to talk to her a bunch, take her on some dates, she's slow with how everything's going, probably a girl worth investing into, okay? So if it was too easy, it probably wasn't worth pursuing, right? If it let you buy without any problems and it just gave you a lot of time to buy, that's a sign that it's a red flag, and that's something you need to be skeptical of, right? Thank you base God is like in the metaphorical sense like a wife, right? It's like a wifey, right? It gave you a brief opportunity and then it pumped. It didn't let anyone who was slow or lazy get into this coin. You had to get in quick. Okay? Hope that makes sense as a metaphor. That's just like a lesson of support and resistance. The harder it is to buy, the stronger the trend, the more likely the coin goes up. So when you're trying to understand the strength of a trend, one way that you can do this is through just looking at how many times it tapped support and also how long did it spend at support. So you can see here, this is the 13th, this is the 16th. It spent about 3 days around the support before it went to new highs. That is a sign of a really strong trend. Now, here you can see the price was at the same level for about roughly the same level for months, and then it broke through. That was not a strong level, okay? And I like to use this for determining how strong a coin is, right? And again, I've already said this, if a coin spends a lot of time at a support, it's probably not worth buying. If a coin is really hard to get an entry into, it's probably worth buying, okay? Because when a coin doesn't let you get an entry, it's a sign that there is a lot of people who want to buy this thing, right? If price spends, think about it, the market is a competition, and everyone is competing for profit, and everyone wants to buy low and sell high. And if it was too easy to buy low, you probably weren't buying low enough, right? Buying low is a difficult task. It should have been hard for you to buy low, right? There is no easy buy low, oh, it was at support for a week and it was super easy. No, like, it doesn't give you a lot of time to enter if it was the time to enter, right? The best things are hard to get in markets. The best entries are hard to get. The best exits are hard to get. It should be hard. Every time you buy, it should be difficult. The more hard it was, the more likely it is to play out. Okay, the more likely it was to be a good decision. So that's the 4 reasons. That's the 4 ways that I use support and resistance. It's pretty straightforward how you use it. There's nothing crazy. If you want to learn more about support and resistance, maybe more basic stuff than I covered in this video, just go and watch any YouTube video on it. This is super basic stuff. Like it's covered everywhere online. You don't need me to teach it in tons of depth, but this is just how I specifically go about using support and resistance in order to do 4 things, right? Identify breakouts so I can know where I want to buy. Identify buy zones so I know where the retest is, right? Identify sell zones, and identifying strength of trend. So for example, one more thing I want to cover. Let's say the coin's doing this, and then it breaks out. Another way that you can use support and resistance is identifying the region that you would want to buy on a retest, okay? So there's a little box thing. Here we are. So you can see here that the support would tell you to buy here, right? Because we have 2 levels that is the support. We have this level, and then we have this level, right, coming down here. So you use the this resistance line to recognize where you'd want to buy the dip, because that's the idea of the strategy. It breaks out and then you buy the retest. Okay, pretty simple. So yeah, that's support and resistance. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.